Hello again, Bob Huber, Vintage Lambo. Let's talk about the idler arm. We're going to put this together today. Finally got everything back. Things are powder coated. And I've already done some cleanup on some of the areas where there was a little bit of overspray, not too bad, but some areas really needed some work. This particular area here where you see just a little bit like this is not even close to where there's going to be the bushing, because when the bushing's sitting there you can see that there's still plenty of gap there, so it's really not necessary in some ways. But you can see the bores are nice and clean, and also on this piece. One of the things you need to watch out for is in assembling is that you want to make sure that this goes on properly. You know, there's two ways to do it, wrong and right. So you need to know what you have to do here. Okay, so let's go with the bushing install. And so I've cleaned the bushings in here, making sure there's no oil. And I use like a prep solvent used in painting. So it does a very good job of getting rid of grease. So I'm using this is like this is for a sleeve retainer fluid, but if you want to use a blue Loctite or something like that, I'm sure that would be just fine too. So this is just kind of an insurance policy, just making sure, okay, I'm not going to have any problems. And so I'm just going to give it just a little bit of, but an even layer. Why make a big mess on this thing? So I'm going to do that. Now, to install it, it might be a mess. Who knows? You need to install it inside out. So I'm going to be putting this in, trying to give you some sort of a visual without everything falling apart. I know it goes in a little bit there. Okay. Then I'm going to put this piece right in here over that. And then I'm just going to use something like this to just to bring it bring it on home. Something like that. And this is not going to take too much pressure. Okay, so that's in. So you kind of just do a flip and then reverse for the other side. So, you know, I don't need to bore you with that. So let's just call it quits here. I'll finish up the other bushing. All right, you need to put the pin in partially because you're going to have a clearance issue installing the pin the rest of the way. If you don't put it in and you slide things and you start putting the pin in and all that, you're going to be having to take it apart again. So let's see what I can do on this. Let me just move this out, otherwise I'm just going to bop it. Let me just see what we can do here. I don't really want to hammer on this thing at the moment. I'll have to do some of that later, but let me try and ease it down. I can't have it go too far naturally because I can't have it interfere with the pin. Okay, so it's right there. Now, of course, if I go too far, then I just go from the back side and then I can, you know, back it out. So I think we're looking pretty good. All right, I'll tempt fate. I like to get it down as much as possible because it is, sorry about that, in your way all the time. And this is a pretty hefty spring pin here. I think that thing could be pretty good. Okay, all right. Next step. All right, so I went and I sprayed some of this T9 on everything that's where I didn't have the powder coating, just to give it a little bit of a extra edge. And there's some grease that's going to be on things and whatnot. I've got the pin here, and I've just done some markings just to try and locate, because I do have the pin in. So I want to try and be as precise as possible when I put this pin in, because I'm a little bit blind once it goes in, trying to line up this hole. So I need to really try and calculate things so that it makes it easier for me then to continue installing that spring pin in there. Okay, so anyway, that's the story right now. You can see I have the rubber seals on here, and or it's actually not rubber, but anyway, it's the seals I have on there, so it seals the sides. All right, I guess it's back to the press, and I put this pin in. All right, so I have a pin in here that normally drives these pins in, but or out, and I'm going to actually use this just to push it out just a little bit. You need to maximize. It is no room for error. So, okay, so I think I did it. You probably saw that it moved. Okay. All right, so, all right, I think this might be good enough. So we're going to try to install the pin in slightly to start out, and then we'll press it the rest of the way in. All right, now you can see, just to get this, and I just have it in a little bit, but you see how close the pin is to here. I can only like move it that much. And if you don't have this pin down enough, you'll never get this to line up with this. So let's see what we can do here. Now this is going to be a couple steps, and let me reposition this. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this down till it's about there, but it's going to take a little bit more to get it down, so I'll put on something to push it down the rest of the way. And it should be just about level with the end where the bushing is. So let's see how this goes. I think I have the video running. At this point, I'm just trying to get this thing together. Okay, so I think I can now, I'm going to switch in something else to go the rest of the way. So hang on. All right, that should have good clearance to the pin. It's going to touch the bushing, but it's a little bit less than the outside diameter of the bushing, so it should fit in pretty well. Okay, let's go in and try and get it down to the bushing level there. Just want to make sure that I have this going in. Let me check it out right now. Yeah, so this pushes it down, right down to this area here, which should be very close down to here. So let's see. I'm hopeful that with the marker I have here, and where this pin is. Now you can see I don't have much area here to be able to push on that. You see how that is? It's off to an angle, so it's a little precarious putting this pin in. But that's going to be the next step, is to see how well the pin wants to go in and how well this is located to be able to maneuver into position. So we'll see how this goes. I need to come up with a drive pin, and due to the casting and pin alignment, there's really some clearance issues. So I have to kind of devise something that I can get away from that problem and still be strong enough to drive that roll pin in. Okay, I've roughed it out to pretty much the diameter in here that I'm hoping is going to work, a little less than 6 millimeters. And I'm going to then put another cutter on that is going to go the other way so I can clean it up in this direction. I'm going to leave a little bit of a lip here, and that's how we're going to proceed now. Okay, so this is, I'm going to just see how this fits, and then I can make revisions. Okay, free-handed it here. Let me get my free hand somewhere. Okay, so you can see that it's not quite there. You see, I still have a little bit of an interference. It's not quite flat. I'm going to take it down 1 more millimeter here and see if that's going to make it happen. All right, now no matter how you push the pin in or whatever, it is not going to be exactly what you need. And even though the spring pin here, the split, it has a chamfer on it, but you don't want to be fighting the pin and fighting the shaft. So what I'm going to try and do, and this seems to be working out, we'll find out, but I have a pin made up, and this pin has a taper here and then a little less than 8 millimeters there, and I'm going to then press this pin in to straighten it out before we start getting into putting the that roll pin in there. So let's see what we can do. I believe it's pretty close to straight up and down here. So we're gonna try and see what we can do here. Now, if it gets jammed in there or whatever, I can at least, you know, twist it out. So I'm gonna try and just get this just to go down enough to move that pin. I need to move this pin a little bit to align it. So see, it just moved a little bit. So let me see what I can do here. It's a tough customer. So I'm going to try and do that. I'll take it off. I'll take this pin out, and then we'll see what we got. All right, so turns out I didn't go far enough. And I put a little more taper on it and, you know, made some changes. I want this thing to work well. So let me see what I can do here. All right, that's about it on this thing. So let's see if it's good enough. All right, handheld, sorry about that, but you can see now that I have this farther down. Okay, so now that it's farther down, and this tool took kind of a beating, it's not hardened, but it's just one of the tools needed to try and make up to do this kind of one-off thing. I would redo the tool, I would have it hardened, and then it could be used several times, but this is pretty much a one-time thing. So now that I have it like this, then it can be rotated past the casting here, and now I can go and put the normal punch piece on here, then I can tap it the rest of the way. All right, just want to tell you that. Sorry, but I don't have any of the going at it, but you can imagine it's kind of a pounding situation. Okay, back to handheld again. Okay, so I'm just using an actual proper tool that I actually purchased. This roll pin, it needs to go below, so you need to have an actual piece that you can put in here and then bring it down below that, because let me show you one here. It's a little bit below right there also, because this pin has to be the proper length, otherwise it's not going to happen. So anyway, quite a bit of work here. So next is going to be putting the end caps on. Okay, I'm going to try out these freeze plugs. I just want to make sure that I can see them in here before I, kabong the middle of that. I want to make sure that they're all like down and seated. So let's see what we can do here. So I'm just going to be on the outer perimeter of this, and just to see about that, if it would go in or not. Let's see. Sticks up a little on this side. These could be a little bit large. It's so tough to try and find something that you feel is going to be perfect because it doesn't really exist. So we're going to try our best. So I'm going to continue to try and work it. Now I know where I have kind of a high spot here. I can see what that's going on. I might be able to, manipulate it by doing a little tapping. I'm going to try and do a little more pressing just to see if I might get a smidgen out of this thing, but maybe not. It's kind of asking a lot. It's a little high right here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a tapping on the edge here, see if I can bring that down flush. It's already sealing super well. This thing's not going to want to come out, so I don't think I'm going to have to do too much of a force it out by hitting it in the middle much. Okay, so I was able to get both of them on, and because I had one of them on, and I used this cup, so I was able to, when I didn't have this on, then I would use this side, and once this came on, then I used that to support it on the bottom so I can put the other one on the top. These were originally staked, but I'll go back to the table and then we can talk there and wind it up. All right, in the end, I think it's a good product here. Again, since this is a stainless shaft now, this is one of these oilite type of bronze bushings that really is not asking for lubricant and whatnot, but we greased everything anyway. So I think we're going to be in good shape. It's going to last long. It's not going to rust. That's the big killer on these things. So the tools kind of came out a little bit beaten, but they did the job. Eventually, we got these plugs in here nice and tight and smooth all the way around. They're gonna last in there. Now, originally, they went and you can see 3 marks there, and they staked it. So they staked these things in here. So it's deformed in 3 places. So it was tougher for me to try and get these plugs in really well because of that. So I just had to just continue to work around, and it worked out okay. All right, so please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon.